Yeah, thanks for joining our webinar today, where we'll be discussing the Cadcorp Professional Services. Just before we begin, I thought it'd be good just to just let you know some admin points. So first of all, we are recording the webinar today, and we will send out a recording following the webinar. And second of all, please do submit any questions which you have. Myself and Gary will be at the end. We'll be doing a Q&A session where we'll answer all the questions which you have. And then finally, it's really useful for us if you could please complete the exit survey at the end of the webinar, just to help us with future webinars. So first of all, to introduce your presenters today. So it's myself and Gary, both joining from Cadcorp. So I'll go first. My name is Will Stephen. I'm a business development manager from Cadcorp, and I work with local authorities in the north of the UK, helping them to get the most out of their GIS. Gary, I'll hand over to you now if you could introduce yourself.
Excellent, thank you, Will. My name's Gary Randall. I'm the sales director at Cadcorp and also the account manager, particularly for many of our emergency services customers. So I know I can sort of recognise a number of the names of people that are attending today. So and I'll be presenting some of the sort of case studies later on in the webinar. So back to you, Will.
Thanks very much, Gary. So before we begin today, just look at the agenda. So first of all, we'll have a little bit about Cadcorp, because I know there are some attendees of the webinar today who are less familiar with Cadcorp or aren't current customers. And then we'll be looking at how some organisations getting the most out of their GIS. And then we'll take a deep dive into the Cadcorp Professional Services which we offer. Then Gary will be returning and we'll be looking at some case studies for different examples where we've worked with customers and provided our Cadcorp Professional Services. So Gary's going to come back and he's got a couple of case studies for emergency services and housing associations. And then I've got a couple of examples from local authorities. Then we'll summarise, and then, as I mentioned at the end, we'll be taking any questions which you have. So please do drop in any questions into the question panel throughout the webinar. So about Cadcorp. So Cadcorp developed GIS software, data and services here in the UK, and I've been doing this for over 25 years. You can see here along the bottom the range of sectors we work with, and looking at the attendees of the webinar, we have a really good mix of attendees today from different sectors, which is really good to see. And so before we go into the professional services which Cadcorp deliver, I thought it would be a really good place to start would be to discuss what the potential of GIS is when it's used to its fullest. So mapping allows organizations to visualize data with context and enhances our understanding of trends. The web map, which you can see on screen here, shows an example of health centres, and using the map you can see where there may be an over or under provision of health centres depending on population change. This then leads to helping us with decision making. So real-time location intelligence helps organizations make data-driven decisions in resource management. And GIS integrates data from various departments, therefore breaking silos and creating one unified data ecosystem. GIS can be used to optimize resources. So for example, our fire service customers, they may use our application workload modeler to understand when and where incidents are occurring, and then relating this back to emergency services resources. Web map is also available on public-facing websites, so your maps can engage with the general public, creating more transparency between your organization and the public. Just last month, we launched an application, the Cadcorp Call for Sites application, which allows members of the public to suggest potential areas for development on a map. So these are some examples of how organizations are getting the most out of GIS. We understand that not all our customers have the resources to achieve this, and there's been this has been a bit of a trend in recent years. So over the last few years, we've observed quite a significant shift in how organizations approach their geospatial needs. So more and more customers are not just looking for a software provider, but they're looking for a partner who can support them throughout the entire geospatial journey. This has then resulted in a growing trend of customers coming to us for a range of services beyond just providing GIS software. So in response to this, Cadcorp have expanded our professional services just to meet the evolving needs and demands of our customers. whether it's in the form of bespoke consultancy, implementation support, or training. We've increased the scope of what we offer to ensure that organizations have access to the right expertise, no matter the stage of development. To support this growth, we've also expanded the Cadcorp consultancy team and upskilled our staff. This ensures we can provide even greater depth of knowledge and a broader range of services tailored towards our clients' needs. Our team is equipped not only to help with immediate project challenges, but to provide long-term strategic advice and ongoing support after implementation of a project. This focus on professional services is key to how Cadcorp is evolving as an organization. We are committed to partnering with our clients to ensure they're getting the most out of their GIS investments, while also helping them to navigate the complexities of the modern geospatial challenges. So what are the Cadcorp Professional Services? So the next few slides are taken from our Professional Services catalogue, which is available online. And this details the different areas in which we can assist organisations with their GIS. I'm going to go into a bit of detail for each area of expertise we have and that we offer to our customers. So applying our GIS domain expertise and industry knowledge from multiple sectors, we can design a geospatial strategy that is right for your organisation. Cadcorp can undertake a geospatial capability assessment, a data audit, look into market research, and produce a gap analysis using recognised best practice in the industry. An in-depth report detailing options for improvement and a tactical roadmap can be delivered with recommendations on the next steps to meet your organisation's strategic goals. We know it's important that your GIS investment is delivered on time, it's delivered on budget and within the agreed upon scope. So at Cadcorp, we assign a Prince2 project manager from your project initiation through to server and software installation, including data preparation, then system testing, and then go live preparation. Post go live activities can also include monitoring, fault resolution, and then a final debrief. A detailed plan will be supplied and updated throughout the entire project to ensure milestones are reached. Cadcorp partners with a range of data suppliers, including Ordnance Survey, to provide a wide range of data services. So spatial data can be provided in popular GIS formats and as a cloud-hosted web service. The maps can be provided directly to your GIS or your web mapping application, and all map updates are applied by Cadcorp as part of the service. Cadcorp assists organizations with their GIS and web mapping. So this can include undertaking admin tasks such as installation and configuration of service releases, database support and updates, data management, and managing templates and libraries. So our GIS technicians can also carry out user tasks such as editing, creating and styling spatial data, spatial analysis, and producing map and reports, taking some strain off your GIS departments. So Cadcorp provides support for customization projects and integration with a range of databases, software providers, and applications designed for specific business sectors. You can see here the example which is on screen is Cadcorp being integrated with Microsoft Power BI, but it can include systems for planning, building control, housing management, gazetteers, mobile data, and command and control. Cadcorp can use our industry knowledge and experience to deliver a wide range of specialist data analysis and for modelling projects. Examples can include strategic resource assessment, risk modelling, land ownership, and site location. Our team of specialists can provide end-to-end project delivery, or we can assist you with quality assurance service to complement any in-house modelling which you might have. Cadcorp work with organisations to guide them through the cloud migration process. So Cadcorp technology specialists can review your organisation's current GIS software, the base mapping, business data, security, and integrations with other systems which you might have. We can then offer advice and best practice on a cloud migration model that meets your organization's specific strategic requirements. The image which you can see on screen here at the bottom shows this desktop, which is being hosted in a cloud environment. After After the initial implementation of an on-site GIS, over time, your organization's IT infrastructure may have changed considerably, and this can affect the efficiency, speed, and responsiveness of the GIS. So we're going to assign a Cadcorp engineer who will examine your organization's IT infrastructure and produce a comprehensive report that highlights potential issues, areas for improvement, and recommendations on how to optimally configure both the GIS and the IT environment. And finally, the training. So as most of our Cadcorp customers will already know, we offer a full range of GIS training courses to enable you to develop your knowledge and your confidence in the use of your Cadcorp software. And so we have instructor-led courses where you can participate and collaborate online and talk to the trainer and other students, just like you're in the classroom. And we offer both scheduled online course dates, and you can also arrange for a course specifically for your organization. Great, so that's sort of the intro to the Cadcorp Professional Services. We're now going to look at a few case studies and examples of where Cadcorp have helped some of our customers using our professional services. First of all, I'm going to hand over to Gary, who's going to look at housing first, I think. It's Gary.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Will. Can I just check, Will, can you see my screen okay?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Excellent, great. Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you, Will. So that was we sort of wanted to really start off with a sort of a whistle-stop tour through all the different services that Cadcorp offer, just to give you a bit of context. But then what we thought would be really useful this morning is just to give you some sort of more practical examples, maybe from your sector, or so you can learn from other business sectors. So the plan is that I'm going to actually start off with some examples from the housing. I'm then going to move on to a couple of examples from emergency services. And now I'm going to hand you back to Will. And I think Will's got 2 case studies from local government, and then it'll summarise, and we'll move to the sort of Q&A session that we've got planned. I've noticed there's been lots of questions coming in already, which is really great. So please post your questions, and at the end of the webinar, we'll try and answer as many of those as we can, as we have time for. If we don't get to answer your question, then don't worry, we'll as part of the sort of webinar feedback, we'll make sure we get back to you. So yeah, keep asking questions, guys. That's really appreciated. So I'm going to start off just by talking about some of the professional services that Cadcorp offer, particularly in the sort of land and property and housing sector. And this is a sort of area of the business we've been working on a lot recently. We've been doing some work. My colleague Gwen, who organised the webinar today, has been doing a lot of sort of marketing activity to promote the wide range of services that we offer for our housing customers, and just bringing them all together so that we can let customers know the type of work that we do. So recently on the Cadcorp website, this page appeared within our sort of land and property sector, which just talked about all the different areas within land and property and in housing where our customers are getting to benefit from Cadcorp services. And there's a long list. So if you can see there on the screen, and it varies a lot. So it might be looking at highlighting properties where they're in rent arrears, which is obviously important for a housing association to know, so that they can maximise and make sure they're getting the revenue that they're expecting with the organisation. If you look at the sort of the press on the BBC website or in newspapers, you'll see that there's been a lot of investigation about damp and mould within properties, and that's very much an area where GIS and Cadcorp services are being used to help target that and help come up with a plan for dealing with it. And again, just picking up another example might be sustainability and biodiversity. So housing associations, when they're building new properties, have a responsibility for biodiversity net gain, which also applies to our local government customers. And GIS is very much at the heart of understanding the impact of that on your organisation. So there's a long list of of areas. And if we were talking about emergency services or local government now, we'd have a similar list, but it would be talking about the issues that are important for your organisations. But yeah, that's a list of the sort of areas where we get involved in. And then we've got an even longer list, which I apologise. Some of the font size might be getting a bit small to read, but that's because the list is so long of the sort of day-to-day areas where Cadcorp has been helping our housing association customers. So again, it varies a lot from maybe geocoding data, so looking at stock lists and working out the location of properties. It might be looking at producing maps and reports, or helping with specific administration, such as gazetteer setup, or maybe designing some automated process. Obviously, this case study is particularly focused on sort of housing and housing language, but I'm sure if you're sitting there from a local government customer or a emergency services customer, a lot of these types of tasks might also apply to you guys as well. And these is, like I say, some of the areas where we've been helping out customers over recent months. The way this service tends to work, and we'll be maybe talking a bit more about this as we get towards the end of the webinar, but for organisations that are interested in some of the professional services that Will mentioned, or maybe a managed service where we package those as part of an annual service, how this works at Cadcorp is what we do is we arrange a session to discuss your requirements, either on Teams or face-to-face in your office. We will sit down and we'll talk about what you're trying to achieve, what resources you have in-house, and therefore what services Cadcorp can provide to help you meet your objectives and fill in any gaps that you sort of see. So it's very much a sort of a consultative type approach to work out the services that are right for your organisation, and we'll be talking a bit more about that later in the webinar. And I can see there's been a few sort of questions related to sort of how this actually works, so we'll pick those up as we get there. So that's just sort of skip through some of the sort of housing examples. I'm now going to talk about a couple of emergency services case studies. So I'm going to start with a case study that is on our website. I've been spending all morning trying to remember the publication that this is from, and I think it's UK Fire Magazine. I think that's correct. I kept getting it wrong earlier, but yeah, UK Fire Magazine published an article about the types of services that we do for our UK fire service customers. And again, you can see there there's a list of the types of work that we get involved in, and that also would apply to the ambulance service customers that have joined us today, as well as police forces as well. And it might be tasks like scenario modelling, or maybe on-call recruitment, which is a sort of fire service requirement to work out the best location for on-call firefighters in location to their stations and fire appliances. So again, there's a long list of sort of areas we get involved in, and the feedback we get from emergency services customers and other customers as well is really, really positive. And there's a quote there from Josh from Oxford Fire Service about the positive experience they had at working with Cadcorp, and how it was able to complement their in-house expertise that they have as well. So and you can find that on our website as well if you want to look at that particular case study in more detail. The second emergency service example that I'm going to use is an example from a police customer where we've signed a managed service contract with them. The sort of driver behind this was that the police force had lots of resources in IT and sort of analytical skills, but they didn't have a sort of dedicated GIS person, particularly to sort of help out with the sort of admin side of the system. So they asked Cadcorp to provide an annual managed service, and it was split into two components. So the first component was to help manage and set up and maintain a local repository of Ordnance Survey mapping. So although this organisation were using the Ordnance Survey API for some of their mapping needs, as part of their sort of organisational resilience, they did highlight that they needed a local copy of Ordnance Survey mapping on their own infrastructure, particularly to allow them to always have maps in the control software and other mission critical applications. So Cadcorp took on the responsibility of loading the vector data such as master map and highways into a spatial data, and also managing the raster data on a particular file server as well, and updating that. So whenever new Ordnance Survey data is available, Cadcorp has a managed service contract where we take ownership of updating that data, which allows the police force to have confidence that they've got the latest data from the Ordnance Survey, which is really important to them. And the second part of that managed service was more sort of on the sort of general sort of GIS admin side. So they acknowledged that they really wanted Cadcorp to take ownership of making sure the organisation was up to date with new releases of the software. So that's a sort of service that we provide, as well as sort of call off against certain tasks. So throughout the year, there's times when they want to, it's perhaps not necessarily the most exciting part of GIS, but they want to update their print templates, or they want to have some new symbols in their library for particular projects they're involved in. And those sort of more mundane tasks, rather than doing themselves, they ask Cadcorp to do that on their behalf. So yeah, a managed service with two particular components. And in this case, like I was talking about with housing, we went to visit the police force and sat down with the team and worked out the areas that they wanted Cadcorp to help with. Okay, so that is the two managed services I wanted to, or two sectors I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm now going to hand you back to Will, who's going to who's shared his screen, which is great. And I'll pass back to Will, and we'll see you. I'll see you again at the end for questions. Like I say, please keep posting questions, and we'll try and get all those covered. So Will, back to you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Gary, for sharing some of those case studies there. So I'm going to touch on a couple of local government example projects which we've done. One which is quite a tailored task which we did for a customer, and then the other one which is more of a broader strategic project which we did. So first of all, Basildon Council. So Basildon, they run a weed control program throughout their entire borough, and due to the area of land that there is there, so there's many small parcels of land which have to be managed across the area as part of this weed control program. And they have to ascertain land ownership and separate it by the type of surface that there is. So one option for Basildon Council, probably historically, would have been for them to have an officer to go out and measure each area of Basildon or each land parcel which they had. But alternatively, what they did as part of this project, they came to Cadcorp for our solution, and Cadcorp made a definitive layer of land ownership, calculating the corresponding Ordnance Survey master map topo layer for land classifications, and created a report including both a map and tabular output, which you can see on the presentation here. So that's just an example where it's quite a specific project for a council, and they've come to Cadcorp just to do some analysis on their behalf. My second example for more of a strategic local government work, I've chosen to discuss quite a recent project which we completed for Croydon Council. So Croydon were looking for an independent external organisation with expert GIS and sector knowledge to complete a GIS and spatial data report. So Croydon suffered from their GIS at the council being somewhat rejected over the years, and they were using legacy GIS software which was not really fit for purpose anymore, and it required expensive external consultants to service and upgrade the application. So this led to different departments using different software, therefore causing a bit of a lack of collaboration across the entire council. So with the spatial data, so there was no clear guidance on data ownership and management, which led to the quality of the data deteriorating over time, and trust in the data quality had diminished. So this meant that time was being wasted on verifying the quality of the data, obtaining data from other sources, and needlessly chasing data from different locations around the organization. So all of these factors put together obviously led to a lack of engagement with GIS from employees at the council. So then it was over to Cadcorp to take a deep dive into the Croydon GIS and advise for the best route forward. There were sort of two parts to this. So the first part was the first part of the consultancy was the report. So Cadcorp used their expert knowledge of local authorities and discussed the state of GIS with other councils. This gave a better understanding of the status quo within the market. The investigation looked at a range of factors such as job roles, salaries, different teams, and data ownership within local councils. Our specialist project team then investigated the current state of GIS at Croydon Council. So this included interviewing key staff and looking at the use of GIS currently at the council. All of this allowed Cadcorp to then produce a gap analysis and a recommendation for best practice within the report. So the best practice had a desired best fit GIS setup for a local authority, and then some alternative options for best practice, as well as a roadmap for the future, as Cadcorp sort of understood that Croydon wouldn't be able to implement everything straight away. Then the second part of the project, or the final part of the project, is the stakeholder engagement, where Cadcorp will present the findings of the report to the different stakeholders within the council, which should then encourage more buy-in to the GIS solution at the council. So some of the benefits to Croydon's, what did they get out of it? So first of all, they were able to streamline their GIS system into one system. Streamlining the software meant that they're saving money in the long run, as they're no longer spending on legacy software, and time and resources are not being spent on managing complicated systems. There's more of an understanding of who takes ownership for the data, therefore reducing the amount of faulty data and increasing the trust in the GIS data across the entire organization. So the final point, with streamlined processes, newer software, and the stakeholder engagement, there should be an increase in the usage of GIS across the organization. And so that's the end of the case studies, which we're going to discuss today. I should have a couple of slides to summarize before we get to those questions which you've been asking. So just to summarize, so why should you choose Cadcorp consultancy for your GIS needs? So I'm just going to walk you through a few key reasons as to why customers come to us for our professional services. So at Cadcorp, we have over 30 years of experience in the GIS industry, working across multiple sectors. Our team consists of GIS professionals who bring extensive expertise and deep industry knowledge, enabling us to provide the most effective geospatial solutions tailored to your specific challenges. And we understand that no two organizations are the same, and that's why our consultancy services are never a one-size-fits-all approach. We work really closely with our customers to tailor solutions that fit unique requirements of your organization, therefore ensuring that our GIS services align perfectly with your goals and your operational needs. As we showed with the case studies, Cadcorp has a really strong record of delivering successful projects, transforming how organizations manage and use their spatial data. Our consultancy services have helped numerous clients improve their geospatial operations, streamline their workflows, and gain new insights through advanced GIS technology. And we offer flexible consultancy services that can scale to your organization's needs, providing value to you no matter the size of your project. Above all, we're committed to continuous improvement and delivering exceptional client satisfaction. We take pride in delivering lasting partnerships, providing ongoing support, and evolving our solutions to meet your changing needs. Our goal is to ensure that your GIS system continues to deliver real benefits long after the initial implementation of the software. So now that you've seen how Cadcorp consultancy can support your organization, I just want to talk about the next steps that you can take to get started. So first of all, and Gary sort of touched on this with his case studies, first of all is the initial consultation. So this is an opportunity for us to understand your specific challenges, your objectives, and how GIS fits into your broader GIS strategy. If you would be interested in an initial consultation, then please do get in touch with your account manager, or let us know in the exit survey, which we'll send out after the webinar. And secondly, the custom project planning and strategy sessions. So this is sort of the next stage, and these sessions are designed to tailor our consultancy services to your exact needs, ensuring that every aspect of the project, from implementation to training, is aligned with your goals. We can map out a clear strategy for achieving success, including the timelines, the deliverables, and then the key milestones. And finally, we provide ongoing support after the project completion, whether it's troubleshooting, optimizing your system, or helping your team maximize the benefits of your solution. Great, so that's sort of the end of the content for the webinar. Now I'm going to invite Gary back, and I think, Gary, you've been looking at some questions which have been asked in the question panel. I don't know if you've got any there that you're able to answer.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Will, and yeah, thanks for sort of posting the questions. I think we've got 6 or 7 questions, and if you, by all means, add extra questions now if you want. If you're, and we will try and get to those as we go along. So, first question was posted by Daniel, and it is: can a managed service include a mix of sort of admin tasks and training? So I think if we remember back at the start of the webinar, sort of we'll sort of added one slide where we saw the different sort of services that Cadcorp offer, and when we're designing managed services for customers, we can sort of mix and match any of those. So it's quite normal for an organisation to maybe want some help with GIS admin and also want to include a sort of refresher, maybe a one-day refresher training course as part of that package. So the answer is yes. So managed service can include a mix of services, and particularly admin tasks and training. So yeah, thank you, Daniel. There's Will, a question I'll pass on over to you if you want to answer, which is can Cadcorp do database administration?
Yes, so I suppose the answer to that, yes, so the short answer is yes, Cadcorp can help with database administration. Obviously, that's quite broad, so we are highly experienced in managing spatial databases, just ensuring that your data is structured properly. We can maintain the data and also make sure that the database is optimized for performance. So yeah, I suppose yes is the answer to that. We can help.
Great, thanks, Will. There's a couple of questions about cost, so I'll perhaps pick up those. So one is how much does a managed service cost? So we sort of talked about the sort of having a consultation and designing a package that's right for your organisation. So what we do exactly that. So we'd work out what services that you want, and then provide a sort of quote on that basis. We've also had a question about well, how much does it cost for web map app package that can be hosted internally? So obviously today we've been focusing particularly on the services that Cadcorp provide, but I'm sure perhaps most people here also realise that Cadcorp provide a range of software, so desktop GIS and web mapping. So one sort of public source for Cadcorp software prices is on the procurement portal G-Cloud. So if you went on G-Cloud and search Cadcorp, you can see the list of the sort of cloud hosted services that we provide. This particular question was about on-premise mapping. So Cadcorp, we offer both options, either cloud or on-premise. So I will dig out the prices that you need, and I'll send those across to you after the end of the webinar. So I'll get back to you on that particular question. So, but thank you for that. Just moving forward, there's Will, the question, maybe do you want to pick this one up? Is I guess it's from an existing from an existing customer. Can we include this within our software renewal? And I think it was sort of posted at the same time we were talking about managed services, so I guess it's probably in relation to that.
Yeah, so I suppose yes, we do have a number of customers who use who use Cadcorp Professional Services as part of their annual renewal. I suppose, Gary, you touched on one of the examples, one of the police customers who has sort of a managed service, and then that's called off throughout the year just for tasks as and when they require some support from Cadcorp. So yeah, that is quite a few of our customers do that. So yeah.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Will. The next sort of specific question from Julie, saying, can you help integrate GIS with our CRM? Which I suppose that's a specific question about a CRM, but I suppose integration applies to other systems as well. And again, it's a yes is the answer. Cadcorp, as many people here might already know, we're really strong at sort of integrating with other applications. It's something we've always been proud of, the fact that we have a sort of open technology and we're able to directly connect to databases and other data sources as well. So if you do have requirements for integrating maps or GIS or spatial data within other business applications, then talk to us, and we can find out about the requirements. And we have a particular sort of team at Cadcorp, a sort of application development team that do customizations and integrations for customers as well. So it's a yes to that. Let me just got two more questions. Another question just coming. I'll come on to shortly. There's a question I think must have been posted around the time that Will was talking about the Ordnance Survey data. So we mentioned sort of data services, Ordnance Survey data services, but the question is about other data sets. And I know particularly we come across this particularly with local government, but I think also housing as well, where you might have a requirement for other data on top of Ordnance Survey. So, for example, English Heritage or the Environment Agency data. And on the Cadcorp website, in our cloud section, there's some information about the other sort of hosted data services that we provide as well. They're included as standard with Cadcorp sort of cloud hosting packages, but can also be subscribed on a sort of separate basis if you're interested in them outside of that. And I think that's all those questions. There's just been one question come up, which is probably a good place to finish. Is when's the next Cadcorp networking event? So we are keen to these on a really regular basis. So it's certainly worth keeping an eye on the events section on the Cadcorp webpage, where we publish details about events that are coming up. And my colleague Gwen, who runs our social media, also posts about that as well. The next event that I'm aware of is we are running actually a face-to-face conference, particularly designed for our housing customers, but other organisations are welcome as well, which is going to be in Birmingham, which is around the start or middle of November, and you can get the exact date by looking at the events section on our website as well. So I think Will, that is all the questions that we've ticked off, which is great. So I will pass back to you to close the webinar. And before I do that, I just want to thank everyone again for attending today.
Great. Thanks, Gary, for answering some of those questions, and thanks for the attendees for asking those questions in the Q&A. So yeah, that is the end of the webinar. So yeah, thanks for attending the webinar. I hope it was really useful to learn about the different ways which Cadcorp can support your organisation. Just before I end the meeting, I'll remind you to please, it's really useful if you could respond to the exit survey after the webinar. Yeah, thanks very much. Bye.